People seem to enjoy these goggles I made for my closer video. So I thought I'd do a brief overview of the process I made for kind of combining things and doing crafting and putting them together. I think they turned out pretty well, probably the best I've seen online, so just enjoy, and I'll just go over to my actual desktop camera and you can see how I put them together. Woo! Okay, so I want to show people how I made these closer goggles from Nine Inch Nails. I haven't seen a better version of these online, so my goal was to really kind of give a version of them that were screen accurate. Because I am, crazy about that kind of stuff, and I like things that look nice. They started with just an Amazon pair of steampunk welder goggles. You can get these for cheap. Um, the sides aren't really accurate, but no one's gonna notice that, especially if your hair down. So who cares? What I then did is went to Lowe's and bought a bunch of lawn screws with this particular kind of Phillips head on them, and a bunch of angle brackets that I found in a miscellaneous section. These have rounded corners, so they're pretty useful for that. And then I just kind of put them on there. I took all the metal parts that were a little too shiny since you bought them from the store, and I used some airbrush stuff to kind of just gray them down a little bit. That also allows you to adhere like various mini paints on them, which I used Vallejo Game Color Wash Black and then Army Painter Dark Tone. Dark Tone I believed I used on the brackets, and I believed I used the Vallejo on the actual screw tops. I then used like alcohol and various airbrush cleaner to kind of take off the tops to make them a little more shine where they should be shine. Shine where things would be touched and things like that. I use yellow rust as well on the brackets because in the video you can tell they're slightly different blacks. So I wanted them to kind of come across like that in the video and in my little cosplay. In the middle of this pair of goggles is like a little tiny plastic piece, not really well defined. So what I did is I just hot glued it completely to a piece of leather I had. Basically this leather, I did a few different tests and see which one would fit. It's from an old belt I had, an old studded belt that I've been keeping in my closet for years. It's been falling apart, and I finally had a use for it. And that's why you always keep leather around. You never know when you're gonna need it. This wasn't that hard of a project. It was fun. Basically, I took the actual color from this, which was more like a kind of a shine black metal, and I black airbrushed it as well, and then used a bunch of game color and stuff to kind of give it more of a rustic look on the sides. And yeah, they turned out really good. This was a fun little project. I love making costuming, and you can basically go to the hardware store, anywhere simple to buy parts for this kind of thing. And I haven't seen a better pair of these goggles on the internet. So for me, this was a little fun experience. I thought people would like to see how I made them. I don't know if I'm going to use them again. And I'll probably just wear them to clubs and shows, and people will probably give me compliments, but we'll see if not. But yeah, just go to your local hardware store, buy things on the internet that are cheap and you can mess with, and once you learn how to paint and do little airbrushing things, it's really easy to make little projects like this. And also, never forget your glue gun. That's like one of the most fun things you can do in projects. Just glue everything together. So thanks again for watching. Hope you all had a good time. And Nine Inch Nails rocks. I had fun with this, and keep making costumes and have a great time out there. Bye.